Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to head on to our next section. The next section is the single capture. And judges, do you want me to read any of the preamble about single? No? Okay. Single capture entries may utilise all post-production, excluding the addition of any new elements to the original capture. This includes borders and textures. Okay. And could we have our first image, please? Yeah, it's coming. This image has scored an average of 74. David, a few comments, please.
It's just there's nowhere for my eye to rest within the scene except for the pink flamingo down the bottom, and I just wish that was more a part of the story or something else. But the bright areas are just they're too empty. There's not enough interest there.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have an average score of 78. And Ollie, oh no, Adam, sorry.
I actually really like the communication of the sort of the dirty creek, the industry, and the kind of prettiness around both sides of the industry. But I think just the way the print's being presented to us, and it's maybe a little bit bright in areas and the sky's a little bit uninteresting. So just have a look at how it could be presented a little bit differently to communicate the story a bit better.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 81. Now, Ollie, would you please tell me what you
Certainly.
feel?
I was immediately drawn to the question that it poses, which is like why, and that made me immediately go to silver, because if you can get that kind of emotion across in an instant like this one did, then I want to reward that in the author. And I love that dangling line that connects the sky to the ground. I found that amazing. How would I improve it? I mean, maybe the colours are just a little bit off. They're either not flat enough or not bright enough. I just found that a little bit pulled it down, but I really enjoyed the crop and the emotion and the story that it gave me.
Thank you. Next image, please. by majority, we have an award, silver award at 80. Yes, Ali.
I went to silver because I can see a face in the middle part of there, and it's almost like a big beard hanging down and a massive moustache. And I got this story of Jack Frost. And I think that's probably what the author was presenting to us. If that wasn't there, it's probably just a professional standard image. But I see a story and I see an emotion and I see some kind of communication, and I think that's why I got a silver.
That's great, because we had 2 judges in 73, 74. So it was interesting to hear the reasons why. So thank you. Next image, please. This image has scored 84, a silver award. Might get Mel to talk to this. She had this in the silver with distinction. And in the meantime, Adam, I might get you to swap with Mark Duffus, please.
I really enjoyed the sort of release of tension that I saw in this image. The fence posts that have sort of skewed from side to side, but then the barbed wire that sort of exploded out is a really interesting feature. The colour palette was just beautiful, and I wanted to reward the author on shooting and handling it delicately and beautifully.
Thank you. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 76. And I might get Mark, seeing you just stepped up.
It's an image that's got, I use the pun, some nice anchor points to the left and right. Sorry, thank you. With the palette and the bollard. But and also just I guess a bit of military Navy ship, and sort of the human element sort of coming into the misty landscape in the background. Probably the sky on the top left just keeps on dragging you up, and I think that was one of the elements that probably didn't help the image and sort of held it back from going further. But I think there is a nice story there with all the elements and the humans on the ship. I think that adds nicely to it.
Thank you. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 72. And I might get Robin, can you speak to that? And in the meantime, Mel, can you swap with Francis, please?
There's a really lovely colour palette here that's been brought in by the sunset. It's beautifully balanced by the red. I think, though, we're looking for a little bit more of a point of focus, a little bit of excitement with the image to bring it up to that next level, perhaps a tighter cropping as well for a little more interest towards the centre of the image.
Yep, and Ollie?
Just for the author, it's a shame to see so much effort and a great attempt at a really good story with some really interesting focal points to then be let down by the banding in the sky and the overexposure. Get some mentorship or something around it, because you're on a winner in a way, and then something's let you down, either in the file itself or in the printing. So you're nearly there.
Great comments, thank you. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 77. And I might ask, Robin, can you speak to this image, please?
This is a really lovely observation. The patterning on the floor of the ocean floor from the light hitting the waves is really quite lovely. Overall, though, the print is very, very heavy-handed. It's very, very dark. And the interesting point of focus, which is this little sort of lovely body hanging from the top, if perhaps we had some of that beautiful patterning throughout the body, I think that would carry the story through a lot better.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 82. Mark on 83, right on the average there.
This has actually got an intriguing element to what you eventually come to the conclusion has to be a roof line going up. But if you concentrate on the top half of the image, it could be a jetty sitting on water or going out into... So it has this one-dimensional, and you come down below and you get the depth. So it's quite an interesting read to an image.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 82. And I have a challenge from Ollie, who's scored this 88. You have 82, 78, 81, and an 82 to talk to.
I mean, it's got an interesting graphical nature when it turns around, and when you get up, there's just so much to reward the effort of getting out of the chair and going and having a look. There's detail all the way through it, and my first thought was, okay, who's the subject here? I was looking for a ball, a kid, and I suddenly realized the subject is the buildings themselves, and they're so unique, so much character to them. The crop is everything straight where it needs to be. There's a lovely little circular thing on the ground which makes my eye come back towards the middle. Then there's a shadow from the right which sort of juxtaposition to that, and then this natural banding in the sky, not as a breakdown of the photography process, but just the clouds themselves have a really unique character. To me, this is way higher than a plain old silver. I think this is a silver distinction. I encourage you to come up.
Okay. Mark, you didn't quite see the same things?
No, not quite. I saw it as a little bit pedestrian. But I guess that is a captured scene that where keeping all the elements vertical has given it the impact. But I was looking for where to stop. And then probably, okay, the more you look at it, the one jarring element to the image is the cut doorway on the right-hand side, which is probably the one element that doesn't fit with the construction of everything else. And I was in two minds as to which way to go, as to whether it was something that basically is a good standard. You know, as professionals, we should see this every day and capture this every day. And looking for what takes it beyond into a silver I was after an explanation. Thank you, Ali.
Robin on 82.
There's some beautiful qualities within this, and for me it was a play on texture and light. So the texture throughout the building itself with the aluminium and then all of the different colours. The focal point was definitely the red door. There's a really strong Jeffrey Smart-esque quality to this, and I was tempted to take it the silver distinction. What held me back was the colour palette in the sky. If it had that same level of intensity and colour that you see replicated throughout the buildings, I think for me that would sort of get it up to the distinction level. But I am listening because it sits really quietly and really beautifully, and it's something you can enjoy for a long amount of time. Whether it's in the superior category, I'm not quite yet convinced.
David on 82 as well.
I'm going to come up. I think this is kind of like a movie set. I think the sky is good the way it is because it actually brings out the buildings and so on. But to me, the hero is actually the beautiful circle work on the ground and the triangular shape and the way that the lines on the ground actually pop out of that shadow. I also think that the doorway cut on the right matches the tension on the left with the circle work being really close to the border. So I actually think that really balances that really well. So I'm going to come up.
Okay, and Ollie, you get right of reply?
Goodness. To me, the sky shows how real the rest of the colours are, and the colours are faded because the building's old, it's got character, it's seen a lot of things. And that if that was a grey sky, I'd think maybe the colours were too bright. If it was a super blue sky, I'd think something's really... I think it's just been really delicately handled. And that door on the right, allow me to push you one way rather than t'other. I think it's beautiful. If all of that door was in there, I'd feel it was almost a little bit contrived. I think this has been so considered that, yes, I am going to crop. I could crop a little bit in from the right, but that doorway gives me some anchor point on that right-hand side, and the eye just flows around. Every one of us has seen something different in this image, and that itself speaks volumes about the communication level of this author, and I think this is a silver distinction.
Ollie's score of 88 stays there. Everyone else has the opportunity to rescore, please. We have a silver with distinction at 86. Great discussion there, guys. And next print, please. This image has scored 77. And we have a challenge from David on 83. And you have 75, 78, 76, 72 to work with.
Okay, bit of work, but I'd just like to see this get a silver. I think it's really classic, but I just think it's, for its style of image, it's just really well done. It's beautifully sharp. I really, really like the very long exposure and the way that's brought out the milkiness in the water. Initially, when I saw it, I thought, oh, you could probably lose a bit on the left, but actually going up and seeing the little circles and little pools of water, I think it's all as it should be to show the scene running right through to the left. Just a few little details there that, especially that highlight round thing on the rock, it's really nicely placed and deliberately left and not cropped out. I'm only asking for a silver, and I think it's well deserving of that. It's beautifully sharp, beautifully printed.
Robin, I'm picking on you on 72.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Those silky tones running all the way through are absolutely stunning. Bottom right-hand corner, all those greens, you sort of are taken away to this different world. But the problem is, I want to stay in this world, and I keep getting dragged out to the top left. The sharpness of those rocks, the density, they're just so bright, and that particular rock with the circle in the middle of your eye just keeps bouncing back there. And I think it's just such a beautiful opportunity that's been missed. Crop a little bit off the left-hand side, allow your eye to enjoy that beautiful silkiness and that long exposure that they've worked so hard to achieve. And then I'm seeing your silver without a doubt. But as it's presented at the moment, I just find it so distracting that it's hard to take me there.
Okay, Frances, 78.
Yes, look, I put it in the professional range. I'm kind of in between here, and I see actually both sides. I do really enjoy the image, the very peaceful nature to the image. The little circle there on the left-hand side is actually for me too dominant. I get drawn to that, but I want to stay in that beautiful water area in the green. So I would also probably consider a different crop. I do drift away from this beautiful scene, but I'm very keen to listen more.
Okay, David, your right of reply.
Look, I think sometimes with landscapes, I like to be drawn into them, and what that means is I don't necessarily want to just rest in the scene. I'm actually more intrigued by what is around the corner, and what if I walked into that and went downstream, what would I find? And I guess that's what I'm feeling with this. To me, it's just showing enough context to actually draw me in, rather than just allowing me to move around some nice water.
Okay, well, David's score of 83 stands. Everyone else has the opportunity to rescore now, please. We have a silver by majority at 80. Congratulations, judges. Next image, please. We have an average score of 76. And rightio. So I'm going to ask David to speak with this one.
Look, I just feel like the subject and the story is kind of behind this line of trees, especially the one in the front on the right. And I know this probably was quite difficult to shoot, but it's not providing me with a question of, oh, I want to see more in a good way. It's making me a bit frustrated that I can't see more in the image about what's going on with the drama.
Okay, thank you. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 76. And Francis, I'll get you to speak to this one. In the meantime, Ollie, would you swap with Will, please?
Yes, I place it in a professional practice. It's very interesting to look at. I like the color palette. I don't know, the big area on the right-hand side, the empty space, for me is becoming a little bit too dominant as an empty space. Also, it's very graphical nature, so there's a lot of lines and interesting shapes going on, but also interesting colors. So it could possibly be printed a little bit more vibrant and bring that out a little bit more.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver award of 80. And Robin's going to speak. Robin scored this 84.
Yeah, we've seen these trees from Singapore a number of times, and I just think this is a really, really interesting interpretation of it, because normally we see them lit up, and this has then been shot in the day and turned into an inverse image. It's got some really, really lovely moments. So well done to the photographer for seeing something we've seen many times before in a different way.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we're doing very well time-wise, judges, so if you want to speak a little longer, you're most welcome to. Thank you. Next image, please. Okay, this image has scored an average of 74. And Mark, I'd like you to talk to this one, please.
I can see the enticement of the scene where you've got something that's lit by sun in the foreground, and then you've got this cloud or fog, or I hate to say maybe fire or something, but smoke, haze in the background. But in this instance there, we're looking for a point of interest. It is, and I think the water appears sharper than the hill as well. So that there are a few issues that, you know, defining a point of interest and also just basically looking at, and I don't know, maybe there's more on the edges or something, that a wider shot or something more cropped in that might bring you to that point of interest a little bit better.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. Just try and draw out a bit more. Thank you. We have a silver with distinction at 86. Guys, Robin, I want to hear from you. You got this up on 89, and I'd like to hear some of the comments about this one.
Yeah, I'm on 89, so if it had scored just a silver, I would have had the opportunity to object loudly. This is really interesting. This is the moment where the wave breaks, and there's this extraordinary lusciousness. It almost looks like liquid silver. I don't know if you're into Terminator movies or anything like that, but there's this beautiful sort of liquid silver feel through the right-hand side of the image. And it's almost, if you got rid of that, you'd think, that's very abstract, but just seeing the wave coming through, and then you have the context, and you can actually see every single little droplet that's coming off the top of the wave. And if you've ever been to the beach, you do get memorized by that moment of the wave coming through and breaking. And this is such a unique interpretation of that. And I think that's why I'm enjoying it, because we've all seen a wave break 100,000 times, but I've never, ever seen it break like this. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm delighted it got a silver distinction.
Frances, what are your comments on 84?
Yes, I agree with everything Robin said, really. And I found it a really, really interesting, beautiful image, and how this top part, the movement, and the bottom part nearly compete with each other. That tension, I found that super interesting. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you kindly. Okay. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 76. Robin, you're right on 76.
There's drama here. There's a fire happening. It's exciting. I'd love to see more of it. I'd love to see more of the landscape. I'd love to see it in context. I'd love to see what's actually going on. For this beautiful colour palette, but I just feel like we're missing the scene. It's like the information is there, but what's actually happening all around it. Be interesting to see what else is in the series.
William? You had it up on the 80.
Yeah, I thought it was a silver.
Well, you weren't alone.
I thought it was a silver for everything Robin just said.
Okay, thank you. All right then. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 83 and a challenge from Mark on 88. You have someone else on with you up there on 86, and then we've got two 80s and an 82.
I think this image has beautiful spirituality to it, and a lot of harmony and balance in the positioning of all the elements. The child with the person with the didgeridoo, that mound, which is in tone, is slightly reflected by the lighter area up the top. The light tree, sort of, and the placement of the person with the didgeridoo into that dark space that defines they're almost playing for nature and the landscape and being part of it. And it sort of epitomizes the bond they have with the place. And I think the placement of all the elements, the lighting and the way it's been printed, I think, is quite beautiful as well, and that's why I put it in silver distinction.
Thank you. I might get David. You're on 80?
I think it's cute, but the in a good way. But the printing wasn't. It doesn't sell it for me. I think. I mean, I'm on a silver. I certainly think it's worthy of an award, but I think it just doesn't. The printing to me doesn't sing enough to kind of bring it up higher. I don't know. There's a bit of around the figure. There's some sharpness issues going on that I'm not really sure about. So I'd kind of like to hear about the thoughts about that.
Francis on 86.
Yes, I agree with everything Mark said, so don't have to repeat that. For me, I got quite emotional looking at that image. It's so peaceful. I looked at the person and first I saw, does it need the person? But I actually went to silver distinction because of the person. For me, the person is not necessarily a person. It's actually part of the landscape. It belongs to that landscape. I can nearly hear that didgeridoo playing in this beautiful, peaceful bushland. And then the front bit of the didgeridoo is slightly lighter in colour, and it sort of brings my eyes in the highlights there in the bottom right in the water, and I just think it just flows beautifully.
Adam.
Yeah, I wanted to like it a lot. I really enjoy the repetition of the sort of slight curve of the didgeridoo to the slight curve in the right-hand side tree. What I really struggle with and why I have difficulty sort of putting into the distinction category is the highlights on the gum in the top of the frame and the general lightness of the top of the frame. I just settle up there, and I shouldn't. And every time I look up at the images, I'm in the top middle at that tree, not down in the bottom left-hand corner where I should be, or at least I'm not flowing through the shot. So I'm listening, but you'll need to help me.
Mark, your right of reply has the opportunity to.
Listening to the didgeridoo. No, I think the flow of the image does work quite well, because right above where the didgeridoo is, we have that bright orange that is curving down to the person and then reading through, and I think some of the sharpness is just the texture of the gravel, sand, dirt, that sort of leads back, but then that tree follows you up to the light part of the tree, and the rock then curves down, and the purposeful leaving of that colour tone down to the person, which is you're not sort of glaringly shown the person by being them too light, but they are part of we're still dominated by the landscape with the person being part of it. And there's this flow with the landscape, the rocks falling down to the person, but the trees lifting you back up as well. So I think it does have a circular motion. And I think that's why the placement of all those items and where they are positioned is very purposeful, and that's why it's silver distinction.
Well, Mark's score of 88 stands, and everyone else has the opportunity to rescore. By majority, 84. Yeah, we might take this opportunity to do a bit of a judge change. Adam, do you want to swap with Mark? And Robin's not here. Oh, where's this? She is. And David with Ollie. Could we just have a blank screen for a minute while I change this on here? That's all right. Judges, if you want to grab some refreshments quickly, that's fine. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 84, and we have a challenge from William sitting on 91.
What a great image. Beautiful composition, lovely light, and just struck me as just so natural in an unnatural world. I love the way that the light's streaming through. Yeah, just that got me. I certainly think it's worth silver with distinction, at the very least, if not gold.
Adam on 82.
I probably just struggle with the composition a little bit. I enjoy the elements. I guess I'm just trying to resolve that the other building in the frame, whether it actually adds enough to it to justify it being there. I mean, great moment. I'm listening, and maybe I've been a bit harsh on 82, but gold's a different kettle of fish.
Ollie, you're up on 88, so...
Yeah, I backwards and forwards about jumping the line into gold as well, and I too had that struggle with that building on the left, where I thought, does it need to be there? Am I getting enough from the right? But what I got from it was that it kind of... There's some kind of feeling of energy going through that building and being reflected off, and that light streaming through. And that building, to me, gave me a sense of that's where everyone else is. It's almost like this building on the right is at the forefront. It's the leading edge of the world or something, and that light was streaming through onto everyone else. So I quite enjoyed that, and it's such a different structure to the one that we've got on the right. And the construct of how they've presented the image to us, I love it that it's so bizarre that it suddenly almost becomes all about the shapes rather than the content. And yet when you get up there, the content is beautifully clear. I think I've probably underscored it at the high 80s. I'd love to hear you push me over the line, but I really do think this works really well.
Now, because Will is asking for a gold, I want to hear from everybody on this one. So, Robin.
Yeah, I'm on 84. I'm prepared to go to a distinction. The elements I loved about this was that this was a scene moment. So the photographer's been there, most likely has seen this really interesting building to begin with, and then this almost miraculous moment of light has happened. So the image capture itself is absolutely stunning. The areas I struggled, I initially struggled with the way the building was leaning a little to the left, but I've forgiven that, given it could quite possibly be the shape of the building and that it's larger at the bottom and then it's narrowing at the top, which is why we get that optical illusion. But I think the thing that's stopping me from going to the gold is the printing. I just find it really flat. I would love to see shiny metallic qualities in the building. That to me would then replicate this beautiful ray of sunshine that we have just exploding out. That's the element that's missing for me in the print quality. I just love to see that shine and glimmer.
Okay, Frances on 84.
Yes, look, I'm definitely going up after being convinced from everybody else. I initially was very intrigued when I saw it first, but first of all, there is so much brightness, so beautiful tones going on, and I found it gets a little bit lost in the way it's printed as well. I thought that could have been brought out even more. I got a little bit distracted with the line with the building in front just going up from composition. I don't mind the leaning to the left, actually. That's fine. So, but definitely I will go up.
Okay, and William, right of reply, please.
Well, when I started, I was a little bit thinking I was in the minority here, but Ollie's convinced me to stick to my guns and go for gold and bash myself up for not being more dynamic with my scoring. Let's accept that the building is as is in terms of its shape. If it's leaning to the left, you don't know whether it's actually constructed like that. There's plenty of amazing buildings in places like Dubai, London, etc. I'm not sure where this is from. The other cause for concern of the building on the left, you know, whether it's there or not, it's there. This is a scene moment. I personally think that the two different type of constructions, or the three different type of constructions, really marry with each other. They actually really blend. And I think that the printing, I actually think the printing quality is fantastic. I love the fact that it's so flat. The fact that it's flat, but there's still incredible detail in it. If it was shiny, then the reflection with the ray of lights just really wouldn't have the same impact for me. So I urge you to make up for my mistake and give it gold, i.e. higher than my score.
Thank you, William. Well, your score of 91 stands. Let's see how the other judges respond to your plea. We have a gold award at 90. Beautifully done, guys. Thank you very kindly. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 75. And I might ask, William, could you speak to this? And Robin, I'll swap you with David, I think.
I wouldn't mind someone else also throwing a few words in here.
That's fine.
But it really looks like the foreground lights have had a flash kicked in. Is that just me? On the right hand side, it just looks like it's lit.
Adam?
Yeah, I think my comment was going to be that I find the rocks in the foreground to be or too overpowering and sort of dominating the image over the beautiful tones and colours in the background. So I would have suggested to darken certain areas of the foreground to lead you into the rear of the image. I kind of enjoy the crop, just I just get stuck in the foreground a bit too much.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. Pulling things apart. Okay. We have an average of 81 and a challenge from Adam on 88. You have Ollie with you on 86. And then we have a 77 and a 76.
I'll start with the thing I hate about the image, and I hate the bird in the middle of the frame. Once I take that out of my head, this is how people enjoy a landscape in a landscape. We've got mum on the chair, relaxing, taking the scene in. We've got the teenage daughter taking a selfie. The son enjoying in his own different way, chatting to mum or whatever it happens to be. And we've got dad bored out of his brain, waiting till they're finished. And then we've got the pollution that comes with the landscape in the bin, and all of the different associations with humanity destroying the landscape. This is quite a complex kind of storytelling of a landscape in what is quite a beautiful sort of scene. I thought it communicated really strongly to me, and I was in Silver Distinction at 88.
Okay, William. 76.
I can't pass and say I'd like to listen to a bit more before.
Sure. Okay. How about Ollie?
I'm right there with you. There's a couple of things. The girl on the left with the camera, I love that you saw it as a selfie. I didn't. I saw it as she was looking up at that bird going, oh, look, a seagull. And I found a lot of humour in that. But the thing that tipped me, I was going to go high silver, and then I tipped over to the low Silver Distinction because that bird is in the middle. This image breaks so many rules about what we should do in photography that I just loved the humour that one element brought. Plus, there's 3 birds there, and the one on the left just coming into frame. This is not a moment that you can plan for. All the other elements, the people, you can probably see, but the photographer has combined seeing the story that's already there with this incredible good fortune of timing with the positioning of those birds. I just love how wrong this is that makes it so right. And I'll be coming up a few points because this definitely deserves to be a high Silver Distinction.
Okay, Frances, would you like to have a word?
Okay, that's great comments. Thank you very much for that. When it first came around, I thought, oh, it's a gorgeous image, but I did not marry up to 2 landscapes in one image. And looking at it, that yes, composition-wise, it's actually quite beautifully done with all the people. Selfie or not selfie, I don't think it's relevant, but it flows really nicely. So thank you for that.
William, you ready now?
Thanks. And I appreciate being given the time because it's given me a chance to understand that I was harsh. And actually, the more I've looked at it, the more I see that the bird in the middle is really quite important. The leading lines from the boardwalk, actually, if you put a ruler next to it, I'm pretty sure they'd meet up with that bird. So it's quite good for that. I perhaps was being overly harsh. I'm happy to come up, but there is quite a few problems in the bottom third of the print with marks on the print. So I just sort of think, run that past me why that's in the
Silver with distinction, he's asking
silver
for.
with distinction. So that's, perhaps I'm harsh. I'm happy to come up if you can convince me that I shouldn't be bothered by it.
Okay, so Adam, here's your challenge and your right of reply.
You shouldn't be bothered by it. That's all I can say. I'd like to thank Ollie for resolving the central bird, and maybe I assumed it was a selfie just because that's what every other teenage girl is probably more interested in. But I think there's a lot of communication here. It's taking it well beyond what is expected in from a landscape image, and it's something that's quite storytelling. Silver Distinction.
Okay, so Adam's score of 88 stands. Everyone else has an opportunity to rescore. We have a silver with distinction at 87. Judges, I enjoyed that immensely, so thank you very kindly. Great comments all the way through. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 83. Frances, can you speak to that one, please?
So I think it's a very clear silver award for me. It flows beautifully. The tones are nice. The composition is nice. The print is well done, and it's a little bit quirky on the same side as well, and a bit different. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 81. Adam, yep.
Love the the difference between the sort of the smog of Shanghai into the upper atmosphere. It's been really well presented. To improve, I just want to see the verticals to be straight, though the tower slightly leaning over just kills it in particular.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 80. And we have a challenge from David on 85. You've got Frances on 76 and Adam on 77, but yeah, see how you go.
Okay. I really think this is quite gorgeous and worthy of a silver distinction. You know, the hero is the clouds, clearly, and the temptation would have been to smack us over the head with the landscape as well, but I think just providing the small elements of the landscape with the light, the beautiful light hitting those, is enough to give us the context of the location. I think the balance of composition is perfect, in particular not cropping the top. I know that will probably be a comment from someone, but because of the colour that complements the blues, that complement the gold colours, is perfect. And particularly the darkness of the top, which mirrors the blackness at the bottom. I really think it's worth a silver distinction.
Okay, and Frances on 76.
Yes, I do enjoy the colour palette, definitely. I was I love the composition, but I'm getting confused in it because of the bright cloud. It's where I end up, but I don't actually. My eyes don't want to go there. I want to stay in the rock landscape, but I just get drawn away. And then I found this right hand a little bit too dominant, so I end up there. But I really should be on the left side more of the image. So I'm just a little bit confused.
Ollie?
Yeah, I think I'm going to come up. I gave it an 81. I think your feeling of wanting to be in the landscape is kind of the point that the author has given you there, and it goes back to those original comments about how you may want to feel that, but it's not about that. The landscape is kind of the background to the cloud and the emotion that this particular lighting scenario gives us. There's kind of a swirl through it. There's kind of this mystery, a little bit of magic, and yeah, you do go, oh, but this is like almost Monument Valley type stuff where I want to see those old formations. But the author's saying, excuse me, look where I want you to look, at this big bright spot in the middle, and how well it's balanced by all those other things. So I underscored it at 81. I'll come up.
Okay, and we might have right of reply now, David.
Yeah, I like that description. I think the author is saying, excuse me. So, excuse me, come up, please. Thank you.
Okay, well, David's score of 85 stands. Everyone else has an opportunity to rescore if they so. We have still a silver award at 83. Okay, thank you. Next image, please. This image has scored an average of 77. And I might ask William to speak to this one.
It's a nice image. It's nicely seen. I just think the printing on the top part is just too heavy.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 84. Okay, Frances.
Yes, I really enjoyed this image. There's a nice, it's fairly bare landscape naturally, but the author really brought that out in a very playful and interesting way, and leading lines, color palette as well. So very well done to the author. Yes,
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver with distinction at 86. Next image, please. Oh, yeah, hang on, back. Yeah, I'll, yeah, William? Adam?
No, this is a really well finessed image. The different tracks of all the different sort of animals or creatures or whatever they happen to be passing through. I spent the whole time sort of asking myself, how could I improve it? And I didn't really come up with an answer because it's really just quite deftly done. So congratulations to the author.
Thank you. Now we'll have the next image, please. We have a silver award at 84. Adam, would you speak to that? And Francis, I might swap you with Rob and give you a bit of a rest.
Yeah, beautiful with great restrained colour palette. Really sort of, it's a kind of predictable composition, which is probably where it didn't go any higher than what it got. But at the same time, really well-placed elements and very, very well-controlled print technique. So congratulations to the author on the silver.
Thank you. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 84 and a challenge by William Long on 92.
I'm surprised I'm by myself. I love the composition. This rock, the ice looks like it has roots. Yeah, it's great composition. It's beautifully presented. I'm just sort of like, there's times when I think, oh, I must be right out of step with everyone else, but I'm not. Oh, I am alone. So maybe I just see something different in here. This just seriously appeals to me. That composition, the light, the color palette, all of those things just work. I love the big crack down there. I love how it's reflecting. Yeah, it's great.
Okay. David?
I do love this, but I mean, I gave it a silver, but the whole of the foreground and the bottom is unsharp in terms of focus. And I just think that stops me from going higher. And it's just that one reason, actually. I really enjoy the composition and everything, but...
Ollie on 84.
Yeah, I gave it 84, and I really wanted to give it higher, so I'm listening, because I too felt like that foreground to me needed to be a bit more in focus. But what I loved, the color palette was kind of magical, and when I got to the rock, I usually hate glows around objects, but it mirrored the idea of this magical environment. And so I really wanted to go higher. So I'm listening as to why. I can kind of forgive it, and I teetered a bit. So if you can teach me why that foreground doesn't need to be sharp, then I'm coming with you.
Robin, on 84 as well.
It's interesting that we're all struggling with the same thing, and that's that foreground being out of focus. If I kind of blur my eyes a bit, it's like, ooh, it's like little laser beams. So I can sort of take it to a slightly abstract form and somehow resolve it. I find it a very strong, very striking image. I will be going to distinction. Very brave of the photographer to sort of give us two images in one, because you could do a line right down the middle and get two very contrasting images. But we are all listening, William, so thank you for challenging.
And Adam, on 80. We are talking gold, so I want to hear from everyone.
I worry that we are talking gold because we're sort of making up laser beams to justify why it's out of focus in the foreground, and and why it's glowing. I see them as not being good enough to be in the gold category, rather than justifying them for why it could be. Maybe I've had my angry pants on at 80 because the colour palette is really good, and it does have it explodes out of the ice, and I wanted to love it, but laser beams don't justify it for me, unfortunately.
William.
Okay. Angry pants. Okay. All right. I'll try and remember that. Let's think about the foreground. You know, it doesn't always have to be sharp. What we're drawn into is where it is sharp, which is the rock. That's where the photographer wants us to look at. And we've got cracks in the ice. They're not sharp. They soften up. They blur. They blur naturally. They're not just a decisive crack like in glass. They do blur anyway. But that's not essential for me. What's essential is that the sky is not sharp either. The sky is soft. And so you've got a little bit of movement there as well. So if someone thinks they're a laser beam, I didn't think they were a laser beam. I thought they were just a big crack in the ice. And then I saw the rock growing from the ice with the other little cracks. That's how I'm visualizing it. That's how I'm understanding it. The glow, I'm normally a bit of a glow Nazi, but in terms of this, I'm not seeing a specific glow. I just think you've got that sky behind, but if we can start remembering that ice crystals don't actually, they tend to soften the light as well. So for me, this is a really great image, and I think it deserves a gold. I gave it 92. So I urge you to come up with me.
Okay, William's score of 92 stands. Everyone else, could you please rescore? We have a silver with distinction at 88. Well done. Okay, next image, please. Okay. We have a gold award at 91 and a challenge from Adam on 97.
Can I have some volume, please?
Yep.
Every part of this image, I feel a different emotion. And it's got potentially nothing completely sharp in it, but elements that are sharp enough to give a description of what I'm looking at. But then other parts of the image just transmitted emotion to me. We've sort of got the calming blue parts of the image and the sort of the darker, more elements of the image that have the crosses, which then give me another piece of communication. This is an image that can mean different things to different people, and that's a very, very difficult thing to achieve in an image, and that's where I've put it in the gold distinction range, because its ability to communicate to different people, different things, and feel a different emotion and maybe get a different story. I'd love to hear what other people feel from it, and certainly reconsider your score to come and join me in gold distinction.
Now I'm going to hear from everyone on this one, definitely. So David, on 85, you were out on your own there a little.
Right. Let's call it unique. Yeah, I got your pants on. No, I'm definitely listening. I'll be coming up. Just how far I come up is I want to hear everyone's comments. Initially, what I didn't like, I'll tell you straight out, it was actually the colour palette a little bit, and there was little sort of purpley bits in there that didn't gel with me very well, but now that I'm actually looking at it more, I feel it's okay, and I don't think it's enough. I don't think that should make me angry. What I really love about it, actually I do think there are sharp points in the image. I can see what look like little birds on the wire, actually. Like, they're so well printed that it's amazing, really. That's just from a technical perspective. From terms of what I feel, I think it's gorgeous. And so I'd like to hear what everyone has to say.
Okay, William.
I'm so glad you went up to 97. I was wary of overscoring it because of the previous experience. I saw something like this last year, and there's beautiful clouds, and when I'm walking up to it, I'm going, gee, I hope those are telegraph poles. And then I saw some little spots on it, and I went, gee, I hope they're birds. And they were. And yeah, I'm definitely coming up with you. That I'm so happy to have given it the score it deserves, which is gold distinction.
Robin?
Yeah, there's no doubt it's the subliminal qualities in this that are exciting us, because we don't exactly know what it is, but we all absolutely love it. For me, it was actually the purple patches that drew me in. It's like, wow, that's really, really unique in a landscape. You can see the clouds, you can see the patterns. You're kind of wondering what were those moments? Are they parts of building? Of cliffs, or what exactly is it that's coming through? And it really captures your imagination, because you can literally sit there and stare at it for a really long time, and continue to enjoy it, and it draws you in. And I think that's the strength in the image. So yeah, I'm on 92, and I will go up some more.
Ollie, you were so eager to talk earlier.
Oh, no, of course. I gave it a 93 for a reason, and I'm sad to say that I underscored it, and so happy that you challenged it, because this is one of those prints that judges long for, in the sense of, and I mentioned it before about a photographer bringing themselves to an image. I mean, if we imagine the scene being a misty sort of paddocks or whatever it is that's underneath that mist, it's really the photographer that has brought this emotion and communication to us. It's not necessarily the landscape in front of them. This is someone who knows what they're doing, who knows how to see a piece of communication that will reach out and touch you, and get it in such a way that, like you say, you step up there going, oh, I just hope that there's something sharp in this, because it's lovely, and you're so rewarded by everything up there. And to me, the description of gold distinction, exceptional vision, that's there, creativity, yes, innovation and technique. I mean, I seriously underscored it at 93.
Okay, Adam, do you need your right of reply?
Not particularly by the sounds of it, but I think this image is communicating, and it's communicating to different people in different ways, and that's where I was in gold distinction, and please join me there.
Giving you the right of reply gives us a chance to look at it even longer. We have a gold with distinction at 97. Okay. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 83. William, right on the average there? Yep. Robin?
This is a stunning example of what a black and white print should be. If you were to pick up any printing book from 20 years ago that said this is what a black and white should look like, bingo, there it is. Beautifully printed, beautifully seen. To take it to the next level, you'd probably need a different image, but we are definitely rewarding the beautiful black and white quality here.
Thank you kindly. Great comments. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 82. Ollie, would you have a word to this one, please?
Sure. I really enjoyed the emotion that's really subtle and kind of a lot of people could walk past this landscape and not feel it was worthy of an image, maybe at this time or maybe from this point of view, but the way that all those shapes interact with each other and the thing that tipped me over into silver was the inclusion of the building on the left, which allowed me to bounce back in. I found that kind of thinking was what deserved an 80.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 82. Ollie, could you talk to that one, please?
Sure. What I really loved about this was the little pods on the Ferris wheel thing were perfectly positioned. They're not being cut by other lines. The very bottom one is, but it's so dark in the background it doesn't make that much of a difference. So, again, a considered approach by the author and a beautiful way of looking at a particular part of this landscape that other people may not have seen.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. This image has scored 76. Adam?
Yeah, one thing when you visit Antelope Canyon at the slightly wrong time of day is that you don't get the light beams, but what you do get is this amazing shadow pattern on the sand in the bottom part, and that's what we're seeing here. But I think the print technique is sort of getting, it's overwhelming the print by the rocks around it. I think, counterintuitively, I think if they were a bit darker, you'd actually get something really more interesting in the image as a result, but it's still a nice professional practice image.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. We have a silver award at 82. Adam?
Really love the tonality of the image. I'd suggest the author might back down the sharpening a bit. It's a bit crunchy for my taste.
Thank you kindly. Next image, please. This image has scored a 79, and we have a challenge from Adam on 84.
I like the composition. I like the tonality image, and I particularly enjoy the social comment of seeing America in the negative. And that's what I kind of saw. That's what it really sort of spoke to me about, which is sort of where I think the communication pushed it from being a professional standard image into an award standard image. It's sort of saying something to me very quickly, and I was on 84. Have a chat about it.
Okay, you've got two judges on 78, one on 77 and another on 80. So I will go to David on 77 for...
I guess I just found the technique a little jarring, the surrounding the statue versus the statue itself. I found it a little incongruent and didn't sort of tie together. I like what you said though about that interpretation. I'm just not sure that that's enough for me because I didn't see that.
Okay, Ollie.
You stole my thunder, man. I was going to say that's a pretty negative way of looking at America, but the kind of thing that I saw in this, not only that humor, which I enjoyed, but it almost felt to me like this is the moment that the nuclear bomb goes off and everything goes inverted. And I got all of that in one go, like instantly, and I thought that was a really fun play on what is possibly one of the most photographed things in the world, and yet the author has brought themselves to this again. So I sat on the fence at 80. I'm ashamed. I'm going to give it a much more solid silver.
Okay, Adam, right of reply.
Yeah, it is about the unique interpretation of an often photographed subject. The uneasiness that you feel is something that I feel about America every day when I watch the news. So I think it's communicating really well to me. I think it's worthy of silver at 84.
Okay, so your score of 84 stands. Everyone else can rescore if they see fit. We have a silver award at 82. Well, judges, can we have a blank screen, please? We're finished. I'd really like to thank the judges there. That was great. It was wonderful to see a gold with distinction come through in that category. Thank you.
That one's that working? Yeah, that's good. So, folks, that's the end of QEPA 2018. Yep. So there are many people to thank. I'm just going to say thank you, everybody. That's all I'm going to do to begin with. I'm going to hand to Mel Sinclair. Come and grab this mic, Mel. Our state president, Mel Sinclair, who's going to do her official president's address to you all. So here's Mel.
Thanks, Gary, and thanks everyone for coming and turning out and supporting us. You know, it means the world to see the room full of people and to see people chiming in on live stream. And there's so many people to thank, and I'm just so grateful and just so incredibly blessed to have such a great team and people willing to stick their hands up and help us out. It really means the world to all of us who love our awards and love coming here every year to judge and to be a part of it. It's great. So I have a list of people to thank, and just bear with me. I'll try and get through this as best I can. Apologies if I miss anyone. It's not intended, and I will most definitely give you giant hugs to make up for it. So first and foremost, we can't have an awards without our sponsors, and our key sponsors this year are always Epson. Bruce is hiding back there. Thank you again, Bruce. We wouldn't have a venue without TAFE Queensland, so thank you so much to Michelle Durson and Helen Stanley. Also KL for sponsoring our portrait category. Cam's here in the room. I saw him just a second ago somewhere. There he is. Thank you also to Camera Electronic for sponsoring travel, and also to William Long of Long Shots for sponsoring Student and Emerging Awards. Alrighty, volunteers. It's been really fun and interesting as my first year as president to learn how the whole thing works and how hugely reliant we are on our volunteers. Everyone from back of house to catering to helping us set up, people who baked and brought goods in, people who ran kitchen and everything. Just amazing. I'd really like to get also judges to give an extra big round of applause to our back of house. And when our how to refer to it delicately, when our big thing happened about a month ago and things went a little bit awry and pear-shaped for us initially, I had a very dedicated team of people who stepped in, but mostly for everyone who messaged me and said, what can I do? People who came and everyone just stuck their hands up, and it was overwhelming and wonderful. And I can't thank everyone, even if I didn't end up utilising the services you offered or anything like that. It's to know that people are there is huge, and thank you also. I nearly skipped over TAFE Queensland. So it's the security guys who've been very patient with us when we said we'd be out of here at 7 o'clock last night. It was more like 8 o'clock, but they were great. Panel chairs, everyone who was a panel chair, Alison, panel chair assist, Robin, I believe Sarah, William, and Alison. Did I miss anyone there? Robin Hills, yeah, Robin Hill, yep, there you go, yep. That's okay. Our judges from local, far and wide, if you came from Brisbane, Goldie, Sunshine Coast, further than, Adam Hourigan, who's Northern New South Wales. He comes up, and Leslie from Sunshine Coast, Noosa way. With in particular note to our interstate judges, Julie and Robin Campbell and David Evans. Yep. Yesterday we had the great honour of having two great APA judges here, Mike Langford and Jackie Rankin from New South Wales. Sorry, New Zealand. There's a new in there. That's how I got tripped up. New Zealand. And today, Ollie Dale. Thank you very much. So to my council as well, Damien and Beth, for helping out. Obviously, council, we run these events, and we do the very best we can to put on events for state. And that's all very, very much appreciated. Special points to the awards team. I had a team of people step in when we had our big upset, and people who said, what can we do and how can we do it? We need this awards to go ahead. We need this for our community. We need this. And they stepped in like crazy. Gary Cranich, Mel Comerford, she's obviously running around out the back. Sarah McKenna, and I have to refer to my list again. William Long, and Mark Shulman. Yeah, Mark Shulman stepped in. I had several other offers, but yeah, we honestly, it gets to a stage where you have to pick people and you have to run with it. But everyone is just, yeah, it's just amazing. It's just great. And I think I can speak on behalf of our regional members here. I would like everyone to stand up and thank Steph Dunn and Adam Hourigan for getting our live stream going. We do our best to keep our regional members in the loop, and without an online presence, we can't do that. And I know that many other state presidents will agree with me on that, is that we need to keep doing online events. We need to keep doing more of them in order to both meet our future going forward. We need to learn to adapt to online events and to reach out to those who in less areas. And as it was mentioned in Judge's briefing on Friday night, I believe, by Alison, is we need to start visiting our regional locations. We need to start getting out there and sticking our hands up to say, hey, how can we help? And yeah, we need to bring everyone in, because we are a community, and you can't have a community without the people. So I'd like to end on that note, and I've got a few judges' gifts here for our interstaters and some key people. So I'd ask you to hang on just a little bit longer, and we'll get through our thank yous. Gifting thank yous. Apologies, my voice is a bit rasp. First and foremost, I'll start with our interstaters. I'd like to thank Robin. Oh.